the affairs of state government have often been sort of left behind. You've got, the federal government's like always in the news. It's got people debating what should the federal government do about stuff. Big federal programs. States are sort of administrators of federal programs to a large extent. States have limited ability to really make, gigantic unilateral decisions that will change life in their cities. They can change like the state income tax, which is a small portion of the taxes people pay, but it does attract people to different states. If they can avoid paying state income tax, that's been very helpful for a few of the southern states to do that. But generally, state governments, they're sort of like they're administrators. They don't really do a ton. The federal government sets a lot of policy. State governments implement it. State governments make a few, laws here and there. You get like abortion, different restrictions, different states, stuff like that. They set standards, state standards for things. But city government's a big deal. You get a lot of stuff done at the level of city government. Mayors very much in the news. Your Lori Lightfoots of the world. Your Eric Adamses and your Muriel Bowsers and all those kinds of folks, very much in the news with regularity. But state governments sometimes get left behind. And this is a chance for these state governments to have their moments in the sun. And for these state houses especially to get on TV. Whoever knew what the Oklahoma State Capitol or the Tennessee State Capitol or the Montana State Capitol looked like. And now we get little glimpses of them, albeit those state capitals filled with loud and angry protesters. But we do get to learn a little bit about them. It's a little refresher because, again, we all learned what the state capitals were as kids. And it's a chance to kind of revisit how much of that knowledge we have retained as individuals. And, in a lot of cases, I was finding as I was going through the state capitals today, a lot of things I was having to double check. What actually is the state capital of that state? So I thought, in the spirit of having fun with some state capitals, we would do a little rundown, a ranking of the state capitals. It's kind of arbitrary. Guys, it is very quickly. And I realized when I got through this, I felt like I had downloaded the picture of every state capital. But I realized I only have 49. And off the top of my head, I cannot for the life of me remember what state I am forgetting. So you guys are going to have to help me as we go through this. Remember, or sort of distill, what state are we forgetting? Because I have 49 state capitals ranked here. And in the spirit of like high-level YouTube professionalism, I figured we'd just go with 49 rather than like actually double-check and try to figure out the answer. So you guys are going to have to help us be participatory here. We're going to figure out which state are we missing. And I'm going to go through the states. This is a ranking of the state capitals based both on the quality of the state capital itself, like how pretty is the state capital, the building, and how interesting and cool and worthwhile is the city the state capital is located in. So this makes it a little more interesting than just like ranking the buildings or just ranking the cities or just ranking the states. Like this is a combination ranking of like building plus city. Okay, we're going to go through the 50 state capitals. We're going to rank them 49 through number 1, and then we're going to figure out what our 50th missing state capital is. So you guys are on the clock to figure that out. We're going to do this somewhat rapid fire. So guys, again, drop a like, drop a subscribe, join our Discord, join our Duck Fund. We're going to go through the state capitals here and rank them 49 through number 1. Okay, very bottom of the list, maybe, unless the one we're missing is worse. So number 49, state capital number 49, what is the very worst state capital? Combination building in place. And I will say, granted, I don't know the details of all of these places because some of these are actually very small little cities. But number 49 is Bismarck, North Dakota. This is the state capitol building in North Dakota. And it is interesting in its way here. It is not quite as elegant or ornate or as beautiful as a lot of other state capitals. Bismarck, as I understand, is a pretty small place. Let's see. Bismarck has a population around 74,000 people. It's not a very big city there in North Dakota. It's not nothing. is not the smallest state capital, but it is not a big city. It's also not a particularly big or, you know, probably interesting stuff there, but it is not a particularly big or interesting state there in North Dakota. There is no dome. A few of the state capitals do not have domes, but there is definitely a height race among state capitals. And this is a pretty tall one. You know, a lot of state capitals have domes. Some state capitals really, really, really go for the phallic verticality. And this is one that kind of does that, but no dome on top of that. Looks like kind of a generic office building or something. So 49, Bismarck, North Dakota. Looks like a place telemarketers work. Office blocks are awesome. Okay, you guys are going to have to decide. Do we agree that this is the worst one? We got to agree with some others. Number 48. 48, we're going to Alaska. Juneau, Alaska. It's the capital of Alaska. A lot of people think it might be Anchorage. But Juneau, or even Fairbanks, but Juneau, that was the capital of Alaska. This is just kind of like a big boxy building. They've got some nice little like kind of classical stuff here, some columns there at the, but there's the backside of the building is really ugly. It's just got like a skywalk to a parking garage. It is not very pretty. It's also not very descript. Like if you were walking through a city, you wouldn't notice that this is the state capital. Looks like an elementary school. It looks newish because it was recently renovated. Before that, it actually looked even worse. And Juneau's not a big city. Like Alaska doesn't have that many cities to begin with. Fairbanks, or Anchorage, is actually a pretty big city, albeit very, very cold. Juneau, like there's nothing to do in Juneau. There's nothing to do in Juneau. And it's cold, and the Capitol building is not very interesting. So I'm sure the scenery, you know, around the place is very pretty. But we put Alaska here at number 48. So again, North Dakota 49, Alaska 48. Number 47. Trenton, New Jersey. Trenton, New Jersey is a horribly abysmal city. I have been to Trenton, New Jersey. I've spent some time there. It is a terrible city. I don't know what you'd come up with in New Jersey that's all that much better. I mean, you go to Newark, you go to Camden. Like, you know, New Jersey's got a lot of bad cities in it. But Trenton, New Jersey is not a nice city. The building, I guess it has a kind of gold dome in the back there. It's kind of hard to see here from the street. I wouldn't say that, I mean, this is a little bit of ornateness on the building. Not a particularly pretty building generally, though. It looks kind of dark. Mr. White says, I'm from New Jersey. Trenton sucks. Trenton is a horrible city, says Bequeathius. Pretty bad there. Trenton, New Jersey. You know, I don't know. Chris Christie was governor of New Jersey. I don't know who would want to be governor of New Jersey. It's kind of a bad state all around. Yeah, I don't know. Not good. Trenton, New Jersey, number 47. 46. Tallahassee, Florida. Tallahassee, Florida. Probably not the worst place in the world to go as a place, but like, you're in Florida. You're in Florida. You got all these beautiful beaches. You got like Miami's hot Latin flavor. You got Key West. You got Naples. You got Tampa. You got St. Pete. Panama City. You got Jacksonville. You got a lot of cool places. Tallahassee is not the cool place in Florida. It is inland. It is hot. It is muggy. It is dull. It is not even a very big or interesting place. It is where Florida State University is located, and it is not a particularly interesting building. It looks like sort of a kind of modernist art museum sort of type building, but it doesn't really look that much like a state capitol. So it's Florida, but it's not really the Florida part of Florida. Yeah, Scientology building maybe. There are a lot of ugly buildings, says Jeanette. Yeah, Tallahassee, not great here, number 46. Okay, number 45. Number 45, we're going to Louisiana, Baton Rouge. This is another state capital that is going for the sort of super kind of phallic height building thing. The two chambers on the two sides. I don't know, it might be the most phallic of all the state capitals there in Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge is also a pretty bad city. Like, New Orleans is interesting and nice, and it's like under the floodplain, but it is pretty and fun and exciting and stuff. Baton Rouge is not a great city, and this building, it's interesting enough. 45 might be a little bit low for this, but not a great city and not a super ornate or beautiful. I mean, compared to the top ones on this is just not beautiful. Looks like the top needs to be power washed. Yeah, the kind of whole building kind of looks like it needs a little bit of a scrubbing. If anyone wants to go and, scrub the tower. Okay, so Louisiana. Kind of a bad state, too. Like, not a great state there, Louisiana, on the whole. Okay, number 51. No, it's not number 51. It's number 44. Number 44 here. 44 is Albany, New York. New York, home to New York City. Like, arguably the most significant and greatest city in the world. But a lot of New York really sucks. It's cold, it's dreary, it's dark, it's lonely. And you still have, like, really high taxes and stuff. A lot of New York kind of sucks as a state. Albany is a city that sucks. A little bit up the road from New York City, up in the part of New York that is dreary and cold and kind of a classy building, but I mean, I don't know. There's a little too much going on in that building. It doesn't really look like a capital to me. That looks like something you'd have in, I feel like, Ottawa up in Canada. No dome. There's just a lot going on there. Kind of a McMansion of state capitals as they go. So that's number 44, Albany, New York. I don't think anybody wants to take a vacation to Albany up there in New York. So not great there. Not great there, New York. Number 43 is Salem, Oregon. This is one of those capitals, you think Oregon. You think like Portland maybe? I mean, how many of you guys knew that Salem was the capital of Oregon? McQueef says if I had a capital, it would definitely have a dome. Skitty Squirrel, you talking about New York? You talking about Oregon? That's my statement. It's awful here. Salem, Oregon is down the road a ways from Portland. A lot of people think the state capital of Oregon might be Eugene, but it's not Eugene either. It's Salem. It's in between Eugene and Portland. And it's, kind of an interesting looking building. Looks kind of dirty, very stone. No dome exactly. It's got that kind of weird circular thing on the top. A little bit hard to tell. Not a huge fan of this. I'm sure Salem is kind of pretty. It's a little bit off of the coast. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Salem, Oregon, is that fair at 43? Tough job with the state legislators there in Oregon. They got to manage both Portland and all the people in the parts of the state that really hate Portland. Tough state to govern there in Oregon. So 43, Salem, Oregon. Number 42, Jackson, Mississippi. That is a city that is full of crime and stuff. Mississippi is not a good state. I mean, a lot of rankings of states, Mississippi is the very worst one. And so, we're getting some points off here for the state. Jackson, not a very good city. I mean, there aren't that many big cities in Mississippi to begin with. Not a lot of, economic opportunity in Mississippi. It is a pretty, this is, the first one we have that has, a big dome, and it is kind of a pretty building. I mean, it's got a lot of ornate, kind of classical stuff. It seems pretty well proportioned as a building. The dome is not, bright. It's not, bright and fancy. But it's not a bad-looking building. It's a pretty stately capital. Yeah, it is a pretty stately capital building there. So, yeah, we're getting some points off here in Jackson for the city and the state. But the building is pretty good there, here at 42, Jackson, Mississippi. Maybe this is a little bit low for that one. Yeah, it's nice. It's growing on me, actually. It's growing on me. There, Jackson, Mississippi at 42. Okay, number 41. Number 41, we got Columbia, South Carolina. So, South Carolina, I wouldn't say South Carolina is a great state. They got some coast, some nice beaches and stuff. Charleston is the better city in South Carolina. If you're going to go on vacation to South Carolina, go to Charleston. Some very pretty stuff there in Charleston. Columbia, not so much. It's a city. It's not a great city. Looking at this now, I'm kind of thinking maybe Jackson, Mississippi goes ahead of this. This is not great. We put this together pretty quick, but this is not a very pretty dome there. I don't know what's going on with that dome. They got little barnacles coming off of it. The rest of the building is not bad looking. I mean, it does look like a kind of government building, the rest of it, but that dome is hideous. This dome looks like Skitty Squirrel's house. You're not the governor of South Carolina, are you? Okay, that's 41. South Carolina, the city of Columbia. The dome does have barnacles on it. That's true. Yes. All right, number 40. Number 40. This is Honolulu, Hawaii. You know, Hawaii is a wonderful place. It is a beautiful state. Honolulu itself is, I mean, it's the city in Hawaii. This is not a super, I mean, it's different. It's different as a building. It's not a super pretty building, though. The state capital of Hawaii is, you could probably have varying perspectives on this. I don't think this is that great. In fact, you know, Mississippi's state capital is a lot prettier. This is just, it's kind of weird. It's kind of like not traditional. Looks like a hotel or information center, says Rogue Thought. Yeah, Honolulu, I mean, for beautiful state, but I don't know. State capital not really doing it for me. Okay, number 39. 39 is Lincoln, Nebraska. So, Lincoln, bit of a college town. I'm just saying, you know, some people think Omaha is the capital of Nebraska. It is not. Lincoln is the capital of Nebraska. You know, we're here in the Olympics for most phallic state capital, here up against Baton Rouge. And this is Lincoln, Nebraska. Very sort of tall. It is stately. It is stately. It's just a little different than a typical state capital. I mean, Nebraska is a small, lightly populated state. Nothing wrong with it, really. It's kind of a nice square there around it. It's okay. I mean, it's okay. Lincoln, Nebraska there. Little dome at the top. It's a little like, you know, cleaner than Baton Rouge's phallic tower. But yeah, 39. 39 is Lincoln, Nebraska. 38, Phoenix, Arizona. So this is a very flat state capitol building. And it looks like it's surrounded by a lot of parking lots and some pretty cool grounds. I mean, there's a lot of grass there for Arizona. I mean, Phoenix doesn't have a lot of grass in other places. Otherwise, it's kind of flat. You know, it has a little kind of flat dome going on there. Otherwise, not super interesting. You have like the mountains off in the distance, kind of very Arizonan. You know, Phoenix is a big city, and it's convenient, I suppose, to have your capital in the big city. A lot of people would think, you know, it's Arizona. You know, Tucson's the state capital. A lot of people would think maybe Arizona. But this is one of these states that's a little deceptive because you think a lot of states have, like, not the big city be the state capital. But Arizona's a state where Phoenix is, in fact, the state capital. And, I don't know, kind of nondescript there at 38. Okay, number 37, Hartford, Connecticut. Hartford, well, Connecticut's it's a wealthy state, a very high tax state. Because a lot of people in Connecticut commute into New York City. Hartford is a terrible city. I mean, it has a little bit of history to it. You kind of walk around, you feel like you're in Boston a little bit, but it is a bad city. It is, yeah, it's not a great city there, Hartford. And that's an interesting looking state capital. It's pretty. It actually is very ornate. That gold dome on top. The problem is it just looks like it's too much going on. Like you've got this building with these little pointy castle things going on, and then you got a big dome on top of that. There's just a little bit too much going on there. I don't know. It's a little too much. A little too much there in Hartford, Connecticut. 36, Dover, Delaware. This looks more like an old, like, Puritan meeting house or something to me. And I don't quite know what to make of it. This is, you know, it's kind of pretty, I guess, this little sort of stately tower here in the middle. Very old. First state, Delaware. Dover is like a nothing. Dover is a very small city, small town. Delaware doesn't really have any big cities in it, but, you know, you'd think like Wilmington might be the capital. No, it's Dover. I don't even know where Dover is. It looks like a high school. Yeah, it looks kind of like a high school. This probably belongs lower on the list. This is not great there in Delaware, but I'll give it credit. So it looks old. It looks old, and it probably is old. Okay. Number 35, Santa Fe, New Mexico. This is a weird-looking state capitol building. It is not domed. It looks like kind of a crappy city hall. I've actually been to this building. It is... weird. I mean, kind of befitting. New Mexico is kind of a weird state. This is kind of a weird state capital. Santa Fe is what kind of helps this come up the list. Like, Santa Fe is a very cool little city. There's some very nice little stuff in Santa Fe. It is a cool city. Great little shopping, art galleries, stuff like that in Santa Fe. And otherwise, just like a big, round thingy. It's like you stacked a few dimes together. You made the state capital there. Bend over. Yes, bend over. Bend over. It needs an Olympic pool next to it there in Santa Fe. Santa Fe is very... They do have a little river in Santa Fe, although it's like tiny. Tiny little river. You get very thirsty there. 34, Frankfort, Kentucky. The old joke goes, how do you pronounce the capital of Kentucky? Louisville or Louisville? And then people sit there and they scratch their heads. Which one is it? Is it Louisville or is it Louisville? And it's no. People think it's Lexington. No, it's not even Lexington. The capital of Kentucky is not Lexington either. It's Frankfort. And it's not even like Frankfurt spelled the way you'd think it's spelled. You'd think it's Frankfort. But no, it's Frankfort in Kentucky. It's a tiny little town. Very hard to get to. Frankfort, Kentucky. At 34 here. Kind of an interesting, a lot of classical stuff going on in that state capital. But it's not like bright. It's kind of a dull looking building. Looks kind of dirty. But, it's kind of ornate. It looks like it's a capital of a sort. So 34 is Frankfort, Kentucky. 33, Columbus, Ohio. Ohio seems like it should have a better state capital than this. We spent a lot of time around this building back during the era of the protests in Ohio. And it has some pretty cool grounds. Like, they got grounds with some monuments and memorials and the Columbus statue and stuff like that. Some nice columns there with some, sort of very minimalist columns. It is right in the middle of a big city. Columbus is actually a pretty interesting little city. It's flat, but it has, the Ohio State University's in Columbus, and there's a lot of, young people, a lot of great shopping and restaurants and stuff in Columbus. Surprisingly, actually. It's a very sort of active city. But the state capitol building leaves a little bit to be desired. It has no dome. It is a flat-topped building without a dome. It looks like it should have a dome, but somebody chopped it off, which is probably very painful. A scary government building. It is pretty on the inside. Sort of a metaphor for life or something. It is pretty on the inside, but not a particularly pretty building here on the outside. But, the city's okay. The state's pretty good. 32, Helena, Montana. Why they wouldn't make the capital of Montana Billings, which is the only place you can really fly into in Montana, I have no idea. Instead, they decided to make the capital of Montana Helena, which is literally like a 3 to 4 hour drive from Billings, which itself is not even that easy to get to. Donna is asking if Columbus has a circumcised dome. That is not how that's done. That would be very painful. I think I was getting seduced here by the setting here, Helena, Montana. It's pretty, very green. The Capitol building's okay. It's okay. That dome is not particularly pretty here on Helena, Montana. Oh, shoot. No, we jumped around. Okay, Helena, Montana, 32. 31 is Carson City, Nevada. Nevada is one of those states people, I don't know what people think the capital of Nevada is, but it's Carson City. Carson City is the capital of Nevada. I don't know, people think it's like Reno. Carson City is like a suburb of Reno, basically. And it is a pretty, it's kind of buried in the trees. It's kind of a pretty building there with the fog and everything. Carson City's kind of hard to get to. Kind of hard to get to there, Carson City, Nevada. Okay, number 30, Pierre, South Dakota. No, it is not Las Vegas. Call me the chaos. Not Las Vegas. Pierre, South Dakota, number 30. Another one of the, I don't even know where the hell Pierre is. Not a lot of big cities in South Dakota. Probably hard to get to. It is kind of an ornate building. That dome is a little bit ugly, actually. But, it does look basically like a state capital. and some barnacles there on the top of the building. Yeah, I don't know. South Dakota, not remarkable. Powerful looking, not particularly beautiful, as state capitals go in a tiny little city. 29, Concord, New Hampshire. So, New Hampshire. This capital is named after grape jelly, I guess. Here is Concord, New Hampshire. And it's a small community there up in New Hampshire. Small state capital. A little gold dome at the top. The rest of it is interesting enough. So Concord, New Hampshire there, 29. Not a particularly remarkable state capital. We're sort of here in like the boring middle of the rankings. There's some pretty good capitals at the top of the list. Some pretty bad ones at the bottom of the list. Some of these are just pretty average state capitals here. 28, Montgomery, Alabama. Montgomery, Alabama here. Another kind of crappy state. This looks like this reminds me of when I was growing up. I used to go to the Cincinnati Zoo when I was growing up. I used to go to the Elephant House. It reminds me of the Elephant House, which is kind of ironic because the University of Alabama's mascot is an elephant. Anyway, Montgomery, Alabama, obviously famous from the civil rights era. Montgomery, Alabama's state capital has this white dome. It is kind of a pretty building, has that weird clock, very prominent at the top of the building. But otherwise kind of a nondescript state capital here in the middle of the list. Skitty Squirrel loves the Cincinnati Zoo. Okay, 27, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has some big cities. It has Philadelphia, it has Pittsburgh, but no, the state capital is in the middle in Harrisburg. It's hard to get to. This is another capital dome that has barnacles on it. For some reason, their dome is green. And otherwise, the building is not, it's a nice government building, but it is not particularly beautiful by the standard of state capitals. Common the Chaos says that is a beautiful building. Number 26, Little Rock, Arkansas. Man, Little Rock is one of the worst cities in the world. Little Rock is comprised entirely of surface parking lots and this building. That is the entire city of Little Rock. Anyway, this is the state capital in Little Rock in Arkansas, where Sarah Huckabee Sanders reigns over the people. And it is a kind of all white building. I don't think that's marble. It's some other kind of stone, but pretty building, kind of well-proportioned dome there, for the state of Arkansas. It's not too bad. Not too bad. Very beautiful. Yeah, beautiful building. A lot of these buildings are beautiful. We expect state capitals to be beautiful. On the other hand, it's pretty remarkable. We have 50 beautiful, ornate government buildings like this across our country, and yet we don't pay them much attention. So, 26, Little Rock, Arkansas. 25, Jefferson City, Missouri. Again, Missouri, one of those states has a couple big cities: St. Louis, Kansas City, even Springfield, where University of Missouri is located. But no, the capital city is Jefferson City, a tiny little community that is basically only houses the state capital. And that's tough because, you want to get people to go move to your state capital to work for the state government. It's hard when you're in a tiny little community like that. Relatively pretty building. Kind of reminds me of the Vatican here, the Missouri state capital. You've got, those look like Ionic columns there in the front. Looks like, I can't tell what it says. Is that Latin or does that just say Missouri on it? Anyway, the Jefferson City, Missouri, state capital of Missouri. Architectural mistakes in some of these buildings is lucky. Beautiful to Freemasons. Nice building needs nice landscaping, says Mr. White. Yeah, some of these photos show it, some don't. Most state capitals have some nice grounds. A few of them don't. Anyway, continuing in the nondescript middle of the list here, number 24, Springfield, Illinois. Illinois is such a weird state because you have Chicago, which is this big city, and it kind of dominates all the voting in Chicago. And then you have a whole rest of the state. It's a bunch of rural farmland. And then they got to live by the policies of Chicago. But Chicago's not the capital. Springfield is. Springfield, obviously famous. Former home of Abraham Lincoln. And it is a significant historic state capital. It's a significant state. It is a cool building. It's not just your standard two-sided building. It's kind of got like wings on all four sides. It's got a kind of silver dome at the top. Not bad there. Springfield, Illinois. Not a super convenient capital to get to as they go. Number 23, Providence, Rhode Island. Providence, Rhode Island is kind of not a great city. It's got a pretty little waterfront area. This is where Brown University is located in Rhode Island. Kind of nondescript state. They're up in New England. Smallest state by land area in the Union. The state capital is kind of at the top of the hill. It kind of overlooks a lot of the city. That's pretty. It's got some grounds. And the building is interesting enough. You got the sort of typical two chambers on the sides. You got the sort of four little towers around the main dome. The main dome looks a little bit small. The tip is a little bit small relative to the volume of the rest of the building. There is a proper Capitol building, says Lucky. So anyway, we put this at 23 here, Rhode Island, Providence. Kind of all the same color. Not a lot of, varied color here in Rhode Island. UB Illinois. The building is bigger than the state, says Skitty Squirrel. Close to it. Number 22 is Olympia, Washington. So Calming the Chaos was eagerly awaiting to see when we were going to include Olympia, Washington on the list here. The capital of Washington is not Seattle. It is Olympia. And it's not Spokane. I think people think it might be Spokane. But no, it's Olympia. It's Olympia. I mean, how are you guys doing, by the way? Are you guys, if you're keeping track, did you get the capitals right? Are any of these surprising? Which city is which in these different states? Because I guarantee you take out a map, you try to write down the state capitals, you get a lot of them wrong. It's kind of embarrassing as an adult because you think everybody knows the state capitals, but they really don't. Look at that disastrous monstrosity, says Lucky. Yeah, this is not a super beautiful building, and actually the grounds kind of look like they aren't that interesting either. Very gray and dull and architecturally a little bit behemoth-y. But a pretty place, pretty scenery around Olympia. This probably belongs a little bit worse on the list, I think. Really ugly building, but I have some good footage of us flying around it in a private plane, says Calming the Chaos. That'd be interesting to air. My brain is leaking out of the side of my head, says Bequeathius. That's a problem. If your brain is oozing out of the side of your head, get that checked out. All the buildings in the area are keeping with the Roman themes, says Skitty Squirrel. A lot of Roman, a lot of Greek, a lot of Georgian, a lot of just various themes mixed together here architecturally. And that's the interesting thing about a lot of American architecture, is it is not pure to styles, from Europe or from other parts of the world. A lot of it's mixing and matching in very exotic ways. Big homeless population not far from the Capitol building. I'm sure that's true in a lot of these cities. Anyway, this is we went from Rhode Island where the dome is too small to this building where the dome is too big. A little too big of a dome there on the Olympia State Capitol relative to the colonnade there at the base of the building. Okay, let's see. 21 is Montpelier, Vermont. Montpelier, Vermont. This is the smallest state capital as cities go. Quite as size matters. This is the smallest state capital. About 7,000 people live in Montpelier. It is the only state capital that does not have a McDonald's, believe it or not. And it is hard to get to. Vermont does not have any people to begin with. You can't really conveniently fly into anywhere in Vermont. And then this is even worse. People might think the state capital of Vermont is Burlington, but no, it is Montpelier. And basically there are no jobs in Montpelier except for jobs for the state government. The dome is gold. It is a little bit asymmetrical because it looks like it has this wing over here that it doesn't have over here. Kind of a Doric colonnade there in the front, kind of a big colonnade, the gold dome. I think the scenery helps this one out. Seeing the green in the background. Nice flowers. Looks tranquil and, sort of feels like that's a state capital. I've seen that listed on Zillow, says Skitty Squirrel. All right. Ryan's saying, oh, he's quoting me. We got little glimpses of the state capitals, albeit filled with angry protesters. I mean, I don't think any of these pictures involve angry protesters. But, you can picture that, like, in your own mind. Just imagine, like, screaming mobs of people with signs, chanting out front, show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Or, the people united will never be defeated. And I knew that's wrong. I was listening to old protests from way back in the day, and they used to get it right. They used to say, the people united will never be divided. But now they say defeated, and it doesn't rhyme, and it drives me absolutely insane when they do that. There's a lot of good. We learned a lot of good chants in 2020. A lot of good chants. Valiant Thor is asking, how did Americans manage to convert a once beautiful country into a psychopathic hospital with the patients in charge? Donna thinks I speak of domes with such passion and knowledge. I'm really just winging this, Donna. We do a lot of winging stuff here. But thank you. Okay, there's Montpelier, Vermont here with the gold dome. This sort of guy is like randomly walking across the land. Sort of very, very pastoral. Okay, guys, we're starting to get serious here. We got like the top 20, like legitimate, serious state capitals here. Number 20, Augusta, Maine. I will raise my hand here and say, I did not know off the top of my head that Augusta is the capital of Maine. I had forgotten that. I couldn't think of what is the capital of Maine. It's not Portland, Maine. It is Augusta, Maine. I think Georgia. Which, by the way, is not the capital of Georgia. You'd probably win a bar bet on that. Like, which state has a capital called Augusta? I think people would think Georgia. But no, it's Maine. It's Maine. Maine is a state in the United States. A lot of people forget that, too, that, like, Maine exists as a state. It is very forgettable. It is pretty. There's parts of Maine that are very pretty, but as a state, it is forgettable. Anyway, this is the capital of Maine, and, this looks like a nice time of year. The trees are very green. Kind of a four-sided capital. Very kind of tall base there. And then, kind of an interesting little dome situation going on there. Kind of a green dome. Looks like a little statue of, somebody dancing around there at the top or something. I like the half-round alcove, but that's all Siskiyty Squirrel. Looks a little more like a prison on one side, says Lucky. Yeah, this is probably rated a little too high. I'm sure that, I don't know, is Augusta nice? I'm sure it's hard to get to. And, we've not been super friendly to places that are hard to get to so far. It's an okay building. Not super well proportioned. Like, I don't know what's going on with this. Like a little balcony thing here, but like there's nowhere to walk on the balcony, but you still have a railing. The dome kind of pokes out above that. I don't know what's going on with this one. That is the U.S.'s Maine state. You'd think people wouldn't forget it. Is there a Main Street in Maine state? It'd be very confusing. Okay, this one probably doesn't deserve to be this high. Okay, number 19. Number 19 is Cheyenne, Wyoming. Cheyenne, Wyoming. Wyoming does not have many people in it. It is the least populous state. It is a big state, but does not have many people in it at all. I was watching an interesting video on why Colorado has people, but Wyoming does not. A lot of reasons for that, even though they're basically the same state, just sort of grafted twice onto the American landscape. But nobody lives in Wyoming. Wyoming only has a couple little communities, and like weirdly, they didn't even pick the big one to put the capital in. Like in a state that has no real big cities, they didn't even pick the biggest one. Cheyenne is tiny. This is not Casper. It's Cheyenne, the capital of Wyoming. Kind of a pretty building there at the base. A lot of interesting window situations going on. Kind of an interesting whole kind of colonnade thing. Some like ornate carvings there, and kind of a smaller dome, kind of a smaller gold dome on the top. So Small city, small city. Oh, I like this one. This is lucky. Wyoming sounds like a great place to live because no one lives there, I guess. Calming the Chaos is reporting on the homeless situation in Olympia, Washington, in the Political Quacking channel on the Discord, so please do check that out. Quiet says, I dated a shy Ann one time. When I went to camp when I was, I don't know, like 8 or 9 years old, I was getting like, I'm sure it was like playful questioning, but at the time I felt like a lot of pressure. I was getting asked by my family, like, so did you get a girlfriend at camp? I'm fucking 9 years old. I was like, yeah, of course I had a girlfriend at camp. Her name was Anne. So my parents were like reading through the names of the people. They had like a roster of all the campers, and they actually found an Anne. I didn't know any Annes there, but they found an Anne. And like, is that her? Should we could call her? You could call her over the phone. I was like, yeah, that was her, but I don't think she'd want to talk now, or something. I faked it. I did not actually have a girlfriend at camp when I was 9 named Anne, but I told my parents I did, and I actually never came clean about that. I feel bad about that. Girls have cooties, that's true. So if you guys, if you know any Anns that would be willing to cover for me, the next time I go home for Thanksgiving, let me know. No more camp stories. We'll do a whole camp stories stream sometime. I'm getting distracted here, but camp stories would be good. We had a lot of camp stories. Okay, Cheyenne, Wyoming there is number 19. Number 18, Topeka, Kansas. I don't know. Kansas, not a whole lot of, like, urbanity in Kansas. So they got to pick somewhere, and they picked Topeka. And this is the capital there in Kansas, and that is a lot of column action going on there on that capital. The flowers help this one. That might be swaying the selection here. The dome is a little weird. Some weird window action going on there around the dome. Not a bad-looking building, though, on the whole. Kind of got a lot of mimicry kind of going on in that building. I am weighed by the flowers is lucky. Yeah, a lot of column action. Okay, we're critiquing this building here on number 18, Topeka, Kansas. Number 17, Atlanta, Georgia. What is the population of Topeka, by the way? Topeka population, 126,000. So it's not the smallest state capital by far, but it is in the middle of nowhere. I guess it's kind of close to Kansas City. But other than that, yeah, it is not. Let's see, how far is this from Kansas City? Topeka, Kansas City. It is about an hour. Not super convenient, but not the worst we've seen. Okay, Atlanta, Georgia. Again, we said a lot of people might think Augusta or Savannah is the capital of Georgia. But no, Atlanta. Atlanta is the capital of Georgia. So you got these, again, some of these states have like weird little offbeat cities that are the capital, and then other states have like just the big city is the capital, and Georgia is one of those places deceptively. This is the state capital of Georgia, and boy, there's some weird architectural stuff going on that building. I don't know what the hell's going on in here. This is very strange, and then there's a lot of stuff like jumping all around here on the outside of this building, and then a weird another extra colonnade over here, and dome is sort of very bulbous here at the top. That is not the standard proportions of a dome that you would see elsewhere. Like a very bulbous kind of gold dome there, and then kind of extra columns here that look like they're sort of poking out, some spikes. It is not, yeah, that is actually not the most beautiful state capital. But it's in Atlanta, which is a big city, so it's convenient, and there's probably some history there. So we put that at number 17 here. Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, number 16, Lansing, Michigan. Michigan obviously has Detroit in it, but otherwise a lot of kind of medium to smaller cities. Lansing is a East Lansing is a relative population center there within Michigan. Grand Rapids, another city in Michigan. This is the state capital in Michigan. This is a weird looking dome thing. This is, the base of the building is kind of, if they had just sort of cut this off here, it's kind of not a bad looking building, kind of government-y building there. That's a weird looking dome though. It's like a fishtailing up there at the top. There at the top of the state of Michigan. Almost looks like a temple, says Skitty Squirrel. Very odd dome there in Michigan. We put it at 16. It might be a little high there at 16. I don't know. What do you guys think of this one? Lucky likes it. Land's been there before. Or Land's been there, and Land's seen it before. Yeah, that's a stretch, quiet, but I get it. I get it. This is like when Gretchen Whitmer was doing the COVID lockdowns and stuff. Everybody was protesting at this capital, so you can imagine roving. I mean, you probably actually watched some of the roving bands of people protesting all the masks and all that stuff here outside the Michigan State Capitol a couple years ago. So again, you have to use your imagination. Imagine the people, the protests from back in the 70s. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. 3, 4, stop the war. 5, 6, pick up sticks. 7, 8, smash the state. Yeah, smash the state, guys. Smash the state. Okay, number 15. Number 15 is St. Paul, Minnesota. This is often put in the top 5, top 10. Minneapolis, the biggest city in Minnesota. St. Paul is part of the Twin Cities, although they are different sizes. This is like Minneapolis, ate its Wheaties and its vegetables, whereas St. Paul didn't. So Minneapolis is kind of big and cool, and St. Paul's kind of small and sucks. But they are apparently twins, born on the same day. St. Paul, I guess the parents kind of felt bad for St. Paul, so they made it the capital. Very moral twin, I guess. St. Paul. Good location. And sort of an interesting building. Kind of looks a little bit kind of Vatican-y. Nice little kind of grass walk up to it. I don't know. It's not totally doing it for me. Some barnacles there. Looks like a cake. Yeah, it does look kind of like a cake. Very mono-colorful, except for those little gold statues on it. Not a huge fan of this one. What would a state capital look like if modern architecture designed today? I think it would probably look sort of like the Hawaii state capital that we looked at a little bit ago. This is Hawaii. That's modern architecture. Probably from the 60s, I'm guessing. But modern architecture today is probably designed something that kind of looks similar. Okay. Anyway, let's go back to. Nope. We're cheating. I didn't want to pretend you didn't see that, guys. Okay, there's St. Paul, Minnesota, number 15. Okay, 14 is Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. This is not the best angle to look at the capital of Oklahoma. Kind of getting a bad blank side of the colonnade there. Anyway, this is Oklahoma State Capitol. Oklahoma City, it's one of these states where you'd think thered be some offbeat, weird secondary city that is the state capital, but no, it's Oklahoma City, biggest city in the state. Kind of a monotonal state capital. Not the most beautiful building as state capitals go, but not terrible either. Has a dome there at the top and is a pretty good location. So there is the state capital of Oklahoma. It's patterned after the U.S. capital, says Bequeathius. Okay, number 13, Denver, Colorado. Another state where you might think it's like Boulder or something like that. No, it is Denver. Denver is the capital. We have actually shown you guys the state capital of Colorado on this very stream. We showed you guys the state capital dome when we toured Denver on the stream about a while back. A year ago, I guess. Anyway, this is Denver, Colorado. You guys can see the dome there at the top, kind of a gold dome, kind of sits up on a hill. It is pretty enough. It's kind of just off the downtown. Kind of a slimmed down little colonnade there in the front. Very gray, except for the dome. Not the most spectacular state capital. I mean, it's not bad though. It's not bad though. It's almost cute as lucky. Yeah, small dome for the size of the building. You expect the dome to be proportional with the rest of it. I like the cannon, says Lucky. A lot of places that have like cannons in front of their government buildings have been rethinking that, especially if the cannon's dated to like, the Civil War or something. Congratulations to Colorado for passing the right to repair, says Skitty Squirrel. If you drink in Denver, you get more drunk because of the altitude. That's very true, actually. You got to be careful when you're drinking in Colorado. You do get drunk generally quite quickly. So 13, Denver. Number 12, Nashville, Tennessee. Another big city capital of Tennessee. This building is probably most famous because this is the state capitol in front of which Al Gore was supposed to come out and concede the presidency on election night in the rain in 2000. Then he didn't. He kind of left the cameras like filming the state capitol for hours, and then he never came out. And they eventually, did not concede, and that started the whole 37-day standoff between Gore and Bush before the Supreme Court had to step in and decide that election. This is probably too highly rated here at 12. Again, we kind of winged this, guys. So, these ratings are not like... They're critiquable, let's say. This is an interesting state capital, I guess, in the sense that they have like a whole... It's trying to be like both the Parthenon and like a Capitol building at the same time, and I'm not really sure what's going on. Nashville actually does separately have a whole separate like real scale model of the Parthenon out like in the suburbs. But yeah, this is kind of a boring building. It's very gray. It is kind of up on the hill. It's just off of downtown. Not terrible, but you guys seem to not like it. Bequeathus says it's boring as fuck. Omg. Skitty Squirrel says it looks like a cheap host scale model. Go to Denver and drink your wine through a straw. I'm sure would be offensive to a sommelier. But, drink your wine however you like your wine. Talk about a waste of public funds, says Lucky. It's confused, says Bequeathius. Yeah, I don't know what this whole, like, it's got like a big stone base thing it's sitting on here. A weird sort of foundation thing going on. Okay, that's number 12, Nashville, Tennessee, which, by the way, as a city, I think is highly overrated. It's a very popular destination for, like, bachelorette parties and stuff, but Nashville, it's an overrated city. Top part looks like a mausoleum. It does kind of look like a mausoleum. Number 11, Indianapolis, Indiana. Another big city capital, good city. Indianapolis, underrated city, has really taken off in recent years. Nice little downtown there in Indianapolis. And the state capitol is kind of just off of downtown, has some nice little grounds around it. Very tall building. Sort of like, looks like they just painted on these colonnades over here on the side. And they got like a little green bulbous dome. Those bulbous domes kind of bother me. I don't like the proportions of those. And sort of there in a little tiny extra little dome sitting there on the tip. Domes upon domes there in Indiana. This is not necessarily the greatest, I don't think, actually, in Indiana. But, I give it credit. It's a big city. They carved out a nice space for the state capitol. Mike Pence lives in that building. And that is the Indianapolis, Indiana state capitol. Indianapolis does a nice job with a lot of memorials and stuff. They got a big war memorial. They got a nice little memorial in the center of the city. They do a good job honoring their, Indiana veterans and whatnot there in the city. Calming the Chaos is a big fan of the green tip. Lucky likes it. Skitty Squirrel is a sucker for some copper patina. Bequeathus is going to make if he designs a state capitol, he's going to make the dome so bulbous it's not even going to be allowed to be shown on TV. It looks like Petra. Okay, there is the Indianapolis or Indiana state capitol. Number 10. Okay, guys, this is like serious, really serious now, and we gotta roll through these final ones. Number 10, Boise, Idaho. Boise, nice little city. It's grown like wildfire in recent years. This is the state capital of Idaho. Looks like some nice grounds there. Kind of tan. The dome is sitting on top there. Not a huge dome. Kind of a modest dome. And it looks like a colonnade out in front. Boise. Looks like it might be fall in this picture. Is there a Girlsy, Idaho? I don't know. If there is, they're going to both have to probably merge pretty soon, because I think for somehow we've decided those distinctions shouldn't exist anymore. I think you're allowed into Boise if you're a girl. I don't think it's that exclusionary. But I don't know about the capital. So it's okay. It's okay, guys. I don't know. I don't know a lot of opinions here about the Idaho state capital, but we put it here at number 10 because it's a good city, kind of the right size of a city to be a state capital. You don't want a state capital to be like gigantic, big New York City type city. But if it's too small a town, then like why would you live there? So you want like a sort of nice nice kind of medium-sized city. University towns, university towns are good for state capitals. And then, you want like a nice building, some nice grounds, nicely proportioned, nice mix of materials, nice mix of styles. So anyway, that's sort of the formula for a good state capital here. Number 9 is Boston, Massachusetts. It's another state where people think it's Massachusetts. It must be like Concord or Springfield or something. No, it's Boston. Boston is the state capital of Massachusetts. And the Massachusetts state capital, is right adjacent to the Boston Common, which is the big kind of central square area of Boston. It's a beautiful outdoor lawn space in the city of Boston. Boston Common is really nice. And this is like right adjacent to it. You can kind of stand at the base of the hill and look up at it. This, of course, was where Mitt Romney lived for 4 years. As well as a lot of other people, Duval, Patrick, and others. Looks like a golden duck on top of the building. Yeah, the gold dome. Nice gold dome. This picture doesn't really capture the full extent of the dome there, but it is a nice-looking state capital there in Boston, and it is a good place. Lucky does not like it. Red building. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. Notre Dame should be a capital. Has a golden dome. They should move the capital of Indiana to South Bend. That's actually not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Okay, number 9, Boston, Massachusetts. Okay, number 8. Number 8 is Annapolis, Maryland. Annapolis kind of gives you everything you'd want in a capital. The Quafies was saying a lot of people think the capital of Maryland is Baltimore. It is not. Annapolis, very historic place, is the state capital of Maryland. This is their Capitol building, which it's kind of older style of dome. Really does not emphasize the dome so much. Kind of more about the colonnade, the building itself, brick building with the colonnade on it. I don't know. What do you guys think about this? This is a good city. It's a good city. It feels like it should be a state capital. Annapolis. There's sort of just a feel to a state capital sometimes. Annapolis has it. And yeah, what do you guys think? What do you guys think there? Lucky likes this one there in Maryland. I like, domes are good. Domes are good. Dome kind of signifies to the world like this is a state capital. But you don't have to have like a big ostentatious dome all the time, as long as it's nicely proportioned well relative to the rest of the building and sort of has confidence in itself. And I think this is a pretty good one. Lots of cool history in Annapolis, yes. The Naval Academy is in Annapolis, too. So, that kind of makes sense that you'd have a state capital kind of adjacent to that. I've been to Annapolis. I've seen the state capital. It's kind of on top of the hill. Annapolis, pretty good. This is like a deserving member here of the top 10. Okay, number 7. Number 7 is Raleigh, North Carolina. This is not so much about the building itself. The building is okay here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Raleigh is a good state capital. That whole city was like laid out by Sir Walter Raleigh. The whole city is like a cool thing to it because they have it's like 4 little squares kind of centered around the state capital. And the whole sort of city is organized around it. And the whole like main street of the city, which is Fayetteville Street, kind of connects between the state capitol on the one end and another like really significant local government building on the other end. And you kind of look all the way down that street to the capitol here, and it is sort of well composed within the city. So yeah, anyway, this is the Raleigh, North Carolina state capitol for a growing state. Yeah, not a whole lot going on there with dome stuff. It's kind of just got a little crown. Has a cannon, says Donna. Yep, has a cannon pointing right at us. I'm going to be careful. Move that camera. So, anyway, that's Raleigh, North Carolina, number 7. Good state capital. Good state capital. Number 6, Richmond, Virginia. So, Richmond, Virginia as a whole, obviously is a interesting history, a little bit of controversial history. Richmond was, of course, the capital of the Confederacy for the years that it existed. But this is Virginia's state capital. This is like in the tradition of Thomas Jefferson. This is like they went a whole different route here. Very pristine, white, all white building, beautiful kind of grassy hillside here, gleaming, no dome. This is all about colonnades. This is, you get the Ionic colonnades there in the front of the building. An all-around, very well-proportioned, well-designed piece of architecture here in Richmond, Virginia. Not a great city. I mean, Richmond kind of sucks as a city, but it is the kind of city that should be a state capital. It's not the big city, but it's also not a small city within its state. So this is a really nice building there in Richmond, Virginia. Pretty classic. Details are too large, or the dentils are too large, is lucky. Yeah, around the... there's nothing in the... there's no sort of like writing or anything on the building. Okay, so that's number 6. Number 5. Number 5 is Madison, Wisconsin. This is a nice building. I mean, it's a 4-sided state capitol building. I remember watching protests on TV back in the Scott Walker days in Wisconsin when they were like the epicenter of protests in the United States. Madison is a very interesting, very cool city. It is a very kind of leftist city, but it is, it's got the college town. It's about the right size of a city for a state capital. They got University of Wisconsin there. The main street, I believe it's Regent Street or something there in Madison, is really nice. It's right like sandwiched between 2 lakes, so it is pretty. And, big dome on top of a big capitol there. 4-sided, a little bit offbeat. It's like, and they kind of like, they rotated at 45 degrees. Typical thing would be to just sort of plant it in the middle of that big block, but they rotated it. So it's kind of, you got some interesting angles, got colonnades on each side. Nice building there in Madison. So number 5, Madison, Wisconsin. Nice looking state capital. Skitty Swirl says, wow. Yeah, no dome there in Virginia, Big Dog. No dome. But they don't need the dome there in Virginia. So this is number 5, Madison, Wisconsin. Okay, number 4. Number 4 is Sacramento, California. A lot of people don't like what the state government of California does, but we're not punishing Sacramento for the actions of the state government. Arnold Schwarzenegger used to live in this building. And I guess now Gavin Newsom does. They don't actually live in the building usually. But anyway, this is California, Sacramento. Pretty area of the state, pretty trees, close to wine country. Good weather in Sacramento. This is about the kind of city you want to be a state capital too. It's not the biggest city in its state. It's not small either though. And I don't know, architecturally, what do you guys think here? The California state capital, it's okay. It's okay. Nice colonnade out front, very ornate. The dome is a little bit underwhelming there at the top, but it's not a bad looking building overall. They're in California. Lucky's barfing. Uh-oh. Looks like a model, says Skitty Squirrel. Okay, anyway, this is Sacramento, California. Number 4 on the list. We have 3 more, guys. By the way, are you guys keeping track? Which one are we missing? What state are we missing that we did not include on our whole thing here? I still can't think of it. And I don't think I miscounted either. So somewhere we're missing a state. Anyway, okay, number three. Number three is, that's not Salt Lake City, California. That is Salt Lake City, Utah. Salt Lake City, Utah. Not California here. So, Salt Lake City, California, apparently. There is the state capital of Utah. Big lawns, big sprawling lawns out in front. Sort of feels very Utah. Feels very Utah. And that is a column party. Column fest going on there at the Utah state capitol. Pretty well-proportioned dome and whatnot. It's a nice building. Too prisony, says Skitty Squirrel. Too gray, maybe. Dome looks like it might be just a little too stunted or something. The lawns are nice, though. Lawns are nice. Salt Lake City is another good city to be a state capital. I mean, it is kind of the biggest city in the state, but it's not a big city. About the right size for a state capital. And very pretty place. So we put it number 3 at, I don't know, maybe a little high at number 3. But there is the Utah state capital there at number 3. We got 2 left, guys. 2 left. Can you think of what the 2 that are remaining are? And again, I'm still racking my brain on who we're missing. Oh, you know what, guys? I know who we're missing, and it's actually a pretty good one. I know who we're missing, guys. It just popped into my head, and I'm curious if you guys know. Let me dig it up. I take it back. It's kind of an ugly one, actually, the one we're missing. But we'll pop it in there at the very end. Okay, number 2. Number 2, guys. Can you guess what number 2 is? Number 2 is West Virginia. Charleston, West Virginia. This is as much about the building as it is about the setting. Charleston is not the greatest city in the world. West Virginia is not the greatest state in the world, but the location of the West Virginia state capitol is absolutely spectacular. Beautiful setting there on the river, in front of the hillside. Really, really, really just spectacular. When you're taking the train through West Virginia, you sort of go by on the other side of the river and you look across and you got the state capitol in front of these beautiful hillsides. Really, really, really pretty. Best dome looks like a Christmas ornament, says Skitty Squirrel. Calming the Chaos wants to go there. Yes, vacations to Charleston, West Virginia, I'm sure are not abundant unless you're a really big, outdoorsy person. Pretty nice. I like the dome, says Lucky. Dome's maybe a little oversized, I think, for the size of the colonnade in front. They should probably do something here about the edge of the water here. This is not all that beautiful. They could fix that up, put some little stairs or something. People will be able to come down to the water and feed the ducks and stuff. But we're always thinking about feeding ducks. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful setting there in West Virginia. Bequeathius, big fan of West Virginia here. That is number 2. Hallmark moment. Yes. We always want more ducks. Okay, number 1, guys. And I remembered which one we're missing, which I would probably put at best in the middle of the pack. So number 1 is, in fact, actually number 1, guys. And if you can't think of it off the top of your head, it will be pretty obvious when you see it. Number 1, the very best of the state capitals, you guys will have to tell me if you agree or not, is Austin, Texas. Texas state capitol, perhaps the most famous of all the state capitol buildings, because Texas itself, kind of operates like a country. Big state, the right kind of city to be a state capital. It is not Dallas, it's not Houston, but it is also a big city. Austin, it is a university town with the University of Texas. Of course, Austin's gone a little bit off the rails with growth and whatnot, but it is a beautiful, it's a nice city for the capital, big state, beautiful grounds, beautiful flowers there. Very unique, memorable state capitol building there in Austin. Kind of a unique color scheme to it. Kind of an interesting column situation going on there in the front of the building, and then a dome that, just sort of feels a lot like the U.S. Capitol dome on the top. In fact, if you kind of chop that off, I bet proportionally it's very, very, very similar. So Austin is the California of Texas. yeah, it's kind of gone that direction. But it is a nice state capitol building. I don't know if I would put it singularly as the best piece of architecture of all the state capitals, but lucky saying this image doesn't reflect the fascination with fountains and pools, tons in Texas. Yeah, the state capital there of Texas, in Austin, we put as the number one state capital, and I'm curious if you guys agree or not. So that is the number one pick. The one we are missing, by the way, I don't know, you guys guess, what state are we missing? Somebody guess here in the chat. What state are we missing? Is anybody even keeping a scorecard here of all the states? There is one state we're missing. Can't believe it took me as long to think of it as it did. No, we had Idaho, Jeanette. We had Boise, Idaho. Common to Chaos is not a state. China is not the United States. Arizona we included. Phoenix, Arizona we included. We did do New Hampshire, Skitty Squirrel, which is pretty good. Concord, New Hampshire. We could put in the U.S. capital. It just wouldn't be a state. Australia, that's also not the United States. Have to do some remedial geography here at some point. Can't remember which things are cities, which things are countries, which things are states. Be a fun game. City, state, or country. Or continent. Sometimes people mess up on the continents. Okay, we are missing one state, though, guys, and you are not guessing it. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to tell you what that Well, actually, I'm going to show it to you first. Here it goes. Okay, there is the one we're missing. This is the state capital we did not show you. And it is kind of a weird-looking one. At first, I thought this was going to be a really pretty one, but this is kind of a weird-looking one. Another barnacle dome thing, like a brown capital with a gold dome. It's kind of a weird. If you were wearing a shirt and pants of those two colors, that brown and that gold, people would say you had a very bad fashion sense. It is not Missouri. It is not Maine. It is not Montana. We covered all those. This is a different state. Lucky likes it. Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to reveal it to you because you're not guessing it. Should I be disappointed that people didn't print out a map and keep track along the way? It looks just creepy enough to keep people away, says Skitty Squirrel. Yet that state kind of works that way. That whole state kind of works that way. No, this is the state capital. Lucky says wait. Kansas. No, we did Topeka. We did Kansas. It has to be from a northern state. No, we did Alabama. Oh, okay, guys. I like how I'm having you guys guess what state I screwed up on. South Dakota. No, we actually did the two Dakotas. We had Pierre and Bismarck. Jacksonville's a city, not a state. No, we did Missouri. Commonly Chaos is horrible at geometry. There's a lot of geometry involved in geography. There was a good book years ago, How the States Got Their Shapes. Very popular book at the time, 2007. Let's see, we're failing. Alaska. No, we did Alaska at the very beginning. Will just wandered in. Okay, we're guessing states. Which state did we miss? I'm going to give you guys a few more seconds here. Lucky, you got it. Iowa. This is the state capital of Iowa. Guys, not Pennsylvania. Now this is Iowa. It's not the least populous state in the country, but it is a state that tries to keep people away just a little bit with its weirdness. So yes, this is the state of Iowa's Capitol building. Where would we put this one? Where would you guys drop this in the rankings? What number ranking would we put this one? I'd say probably maybe 20. This goes about number 20. I don't know, guys. What do you feel like they're the very best ones? We went through a lot of, we kind of, rudimentarily ranked these, very hastily here. Jeanette can attest. About 45 minutes before we came on the air, I reached out. I was like, hey, guys, I don't have anything prepared. What should we talk about tonight? And I got some input. Lucky was late to the party. Okay. Yeah, virtual tour here of the state capitals. A bracket of the best state flags. That's actually not a bad idea, Bequeathius. So anyway, we did state capitals ranking here tonight. So I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Texas. People seem to really like Texas. People seem to really like Madison, Wisconsin. People seem to really like Virginia. What else got a lot of play here? What else did people really like along the way here? Minnesota. People seem to like Minnesota a little bit. Anything else here? Oh, Vermont. I don't know. You guys are going to have to go back and watch and tell me what you think the best state capital is. Texas. It's Nebraska. Okay, should we let me try to pull this here. Okay, we'll do Texas. We'll do Wisconsin. We will do West Virginia. And we will do... Let me see. What else did we say was a really good one here? All that Michigan one people seem to be kind of intrigued by. Okay, let's see. Oh, we talked about Maryland being pretty good. Maryland's pretty good. Oh, and Virginia's pretty good. So let me see here, guys. We're going to go ahead. We'll ask about these state capitals. What do you guys think here? This is not exclusive of all the state capitals. I can't do a poll with 50 options. So we're going to ask about these four. Because we like to make this interactive, so please drop your votes here in the conversation. What do people think here? Best state capitals. Texas, Wisconsin, West Virginia, Virginia. If you felt like you preferred maybe, the other one I was thinking about putting on the list there was Maryland. It was a pretty good one. Maryland's a pretty good one. So anyway, guys, what do you think here? We got Texas, we got Wisconsin, we got West Virginia, we got Virginia. Drop your votes. Cycle them through, please. Okay, so we'll go back. We'll show you guys these four options. We have Texas. Nope, that's not Texas. That's Iowa. This is Texas. Austin, Texas, state capital here of Texas. We have that one. We have the state capital of Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin. Sometimes the photos will sway you a particular direction. Of course, we have, so this is Wisconsin. We have Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. And then we have, let's see, we have, what else did we say was really nice? So we said it was West Virginia, right there on the waterfront. So you guys were a refresher there on the state capitals there. So if anybody feels like voting, please drop your votes here in the chat. People are very hesitant to vote here, so please vote if you have not voted on what you think the best state capital is. Texas, Wisconsin, West Virginia, or something else, if you believe something else. Again, the other one I was going to ask about, perhaps, because people seem to like it a lot, was Maryland. It's pretty nice. Maybe it's the best one. We had Maryland. We had people seem to like Vermont a little bit. Lots of nice state capitals there. Tough choice, says Jeanette. So again, if you have not voted, please do vote. People seem hesitant to vote here. Usually, it depends on the issue. Sometimes, like when we ask a poll question, we get like immediately like a lot of votes, and then sometimes we ask a poll question about a little more complicated or thinky topic, and then people are really hesitant to vote. So anyway, right now we have a close race here between Texas and Wisconsin. And again, if anybody feels a different state capital should be at the top of the list, let me know, and we will rerun the poll. Okay. There seems to be an emerging choice here. An emerging choice. Not overwhelming, not consensus, nothing like that, but an emerging choice here. And for the moment anyway, seems to be the emerging choice. Rise 2012, suggesting perhaps Wisconsin maybe should be the choice here. So anyway, we'll give you one more glimpse here of the Wisconsin state capitol in Madison. There it is. Again, swayed a little bit by the lakes and whatnot around it. Is that the very best state capital? Perhaps they're in Madison. Everyone stop thinking about bulbous domes and vote. I don't know, it's interesting. All the phallic buildings seem pretty low on the list. Not a lot of play for the phallic buildings. People like the sort of shorter, squatter, stumpier domes. Is anybody a big fan of, the more phallus ones? Jeanette wants this one. Okay, this is Wisconsin. Drinks is bequeathious. Okay, well, slow voting here. Anyway, guys, if you haven't dropped a like or a subscribe in the video, I appreciate that. Those likes help us out with YouTube. These subscribes help you guys know when we're on. Check our description for links to our Discord and our Duck Fund. Those likes help us out. The subscribes help you guys know when we're on. Our description includes links to our Discord and our Duck Fund, as always. The winner tonight is Donna D. Congratulations, Donna D., on your victory tonight. Excellent job. Well-deserved, well-earned. I hope it's a magical experience that thrills you in ways that are indescribable to us mere mortals who did not win tonight. So anyway, I hope this is interesting, guys. We talked a little Tucker Carlson at the beginning. If you missed that, go back and watch that. We talked some Tucker. And now we've ranked all the state capitals. So, interesting stuff, hopefully, a little bit. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close this poll since people seem to be not interested in voting. It's just too tough of a decision. I'll ask one more poll question here for people. It's maybe a little sillier question. Donna can't even describe the experience of winning. That's excellent. Excellent. Okay, guys, you got to make your decision here. Do you prefer phallic towers, bulbous domes, or column fests? Okay. What do people think here? Poll question here. Congratulations. Yeah, Skitty Squirrel is giving dots. This is bouquets of flowers. Or are those like just sort of weird? Are those like Dippin' Dots ice cream cones? That's kind of what they look like to me, Skitty Squirrel. It'd be really stupid to do Dippin' Dots in an ice cream cone. But I'm surprised they haven't. So I guess while we're voting, thanks to our mods tonight, we had a full house on the moderators. Really appreciate the efforts of our mods. And you guys for, hanging out with us late stream tonight. We're going to try to get back to doing a little earlier streams, I think, henceforth. And, landspeculation@gmail.com is the email address. If you like sending us a note, being a guest, anything like that. I don't think anyone has ever asked a question like that before in the history of ever, says Bequefius. Comment in the chaos says, do you have all of the above as an option? I don't know. What do people think here? Phallic towers, bulbous domes, or column fests? It's a tight vote. Very tight vote here, guys. These are 3 qualities of state capitals. If I had to choose only one, says Comment in the Chaos. This is a very tight vote, guys. Very, very tight vote. Hey, David. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Says Column Fest sounds fun. I'm going to give this like several more seconds, and then we're going to close down the voting here on this one. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're gonna close this down. If anybody hasn't slipped their vote in there, the winner in very close vote, by the way, is the bulbous domes. Defeat the column fest, defeat the phallic towers. Only here on Land Speculation. We try to make things fun. We try to make things a little offbeat approaches to some of these topics. So, anyway, guys, hope this is interesting to you. If you're rewatching this after the fact, catch us on a future live.